All right, everyone, welcome back to Weather on the Go, all your weather coverage on this Wednesday, October 16th, 2024. And we're going to be going over the weather pattern over the next couple of days through this work week, this upcoming weekend's forecast, and next week's forecast, as well as your tropical weather update at the very end of the video. So make sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video down below, and leave any comments, questions, concerns below. We'll always get to those after the video. What you're looking at here is your temperature anomaly starting off this Wednesday morning, and notice how the cooler air is all the way down into portions of the Gulf Coast, into Florida, into Northeast Texas. A lot of this air mass here in the central and eastern US is 35, 40 degrees below the norm for this time of year, and it is pretty chilly out there. Whereas the western part of the United States and western Canada, we're about 35 to 40 degrees above the norm for this time of year for this morning. So let's peek at those morning temperatures that we woke up to this morning, and we are chilly here across the Midwest. We woke up to 32 degrees with a light freeze there into the Des Moines region, 34 just above the freezing mark in Omaha, 38 into the urban island there of Kansas City, but 32 also down into Wichita, and even the 30-degree line going all the way south into the Sooner State of Oklahoma. And looking at this afternoon, we're still going to keep that cooler air in place across the eastern U.S. with the warmer air, at least for this time of year, further off to the west toward the Rockies. So here are your high temperatures this afternoon. Notice where the warmer air is. Yes, we are introducing 80s into the forecast for parts of Montana, down into Wyoming and the western Dakotas today. 90s back down toward the Phoenix area, but also further east, cooler air where temperatures starting off in the 20s and 30s will end up in the 40s and the 50s across the east this afternoon. Let's look at the precipitation going through the rest of today. So this afternoon, we have a storm system up in western Canada and the Pacific Northwest. Most of the Pacific Northwest of the United States will see liquid precipitation, that is in the form of rainfall, and then snowfall here, frozen precipitation at times across British Columbia, Canada, up toward Yukon and even Alaska, and then a strong high pressure system across the central and eastern U.S. That's going to keep sun-splashed skies going through the afternoon, but cooler weather as well, and you can see that continuing as we go into tonight. Rainfall not going to be too terribly overwhelming across the Pacific Northwest or Western Canada. We're only talking around, a couple tenths of an inch to maybe a half an inch at most across those areas. Same thing up there into British Columbia and Yukon. And honestly, most of that precipitation will be wintry in the form of snow, sleet, and freezing rain and stuff like that up here. So that's what we're seeing as we go through the next 24 hours. Heading in through the next couple of days through the work week, this is Thursday, October 17th. Tomorrow, going into Friday, October 18th, things are going to change pretty drastically as we end the work week. We have a high pressure ridge spiking all the way up here into eastern Canada, and then a low pressure trough diving down all the way into the Four Corners region and even northwest Mexico. And what that means is we're going to see cooler air on either side of the country. We're going to see cooler air over here into Alaska, Yukon, British Columbia, here into portions of the Pacific Northwest and the western U.S. We have the warmer air, at least for this time of year, mid-October standards across southern Canada and into the central U.S., and then cooler air again across the southeast coast and up the east coast of the United States. Here we go. Thursday morning, we're going to start off more frost, more freezes across the Great Lakes region and vicinity. We're going to see warmer air again across the Great Plains to start the day, and a higher springboard of which to start. Those temperatures will be into the 70s and 80s for your Thursday afternoon. Still staying in the 40s and 50s further east, and then more 40s and 50s further west of that warm up as well. Then as we wake up Friday morning, widespread frosts and freezes across the western U.S. and western Canada, and some frosts and freezes in patchy areas across the Appalachians from the northeast all the way down in towards portions of the Tennessee Valley. And then we'll warm up. Look at that, folks. 72 in Des Moines, Iowa as we go into Friday afternoon, 76 Friday afternoon in Omaha, and 70 into the Kansas City area as we go into Friday afternoon there as well. Precipitation over the next couple of days. On Thursday, looks pretty dry across the central eastern U.S. Very strong high pressure over here. More sun-splashed skies. Going to be hard-pressed to see any cloud cover over there. We have a low pressure trough coming in, so obviously unsettled weather. We'll be bringing a mix of rain and snow for parts of the Pacific Northwest. Snow in those higher elevations, Cascades, the northern Rockies, And then as we go into Friday, much more stronger system across British Columbia, Canada, could be dousing us up here with some snow, and then across portions of Central Rockies, seeing a nice dousing of snow there as well. And that's going to be adding up. We have some liquid precipitation here on the maps. We definitely could be seeing over an inch of rain in those areas, but the snowfall here, look at the snowfall in the western coastline there of British Columbia, down to Vancouver, and those higher elevations could be seeing 30, 40, 50 inches worth of snow over the next couple of days, and some of that could be extending down into the Rockies as well, of Montana, Wyoming, Utah, and western Colorado, and even parts of the Arizona and New Mexico mountain areas as well as we go in towards Thursday and Friday. That is good news that we're seeing the moisture across the western U.S. because the U.S. Drought Monitor here that is released every Thursday, so a new one will be coming out tomorrow, but this past Thursday, yeah, we have widespread drought across a lot of the United States. It's hard pressed to find a state without drought here, but we're definitely seeing a lot of that moderate, severe, extreme drought really starting to develop out west, so it's good to see the moisture out there. Heading into the weekend, are we going to see any more moisture? Well, we do have a trough down here across Arizona. That's going to keep us cooler with more of a zonal flow further to the east. That's the Pacific air, and that's going to bring in some milder temperatures for portions of southern and southeastern Canada, but also the northern U.S. We have a pocket of cold air aloft with that low pressure system down here into Arizona, keeping us cooler, and a little bit of that cooler than normal air for the southeast coast, and then a stronger push of cold air further up here to the north toward Alaska, Yukon, the Northwest Territories, northern British Columbia, and northern Alberta going into the weekend. Let's look at Saturday afternoon. Mild air for this time of year, folks. This is the third weekend into October, and we're seeing 60s and 70s further east, 40s, 50s, some 30s and higher elevations further west. Same thing is true on Sunday. It looks like a nice spring day basically on Sunday for the central and eastern U.S. As far as precipitation goes through the weekend, double-barreled area of high pressure here across the east will keep us pretty dry for Saturday. We got that trough, the cold air aloft could bring some snow to the mountain ranges there of Colorado, northern New Mexico, and into Arizona, and then that will continue into Sunday, kind of a cutoff low pressure system down there, and we could be seeing some decent moisture down into this region, into southern Colorado, northeast New Mexico, the northwest Texas panhandle, and western Oklahoma panhandle, a couple inches of rain possibly, and some of that in those higher elevations in the mountains of southwest Colorado, northern New Mexico especially. We could be seeing over 2 feet worth of snow as we go through the weekend time frame. Now let's talk about next week's pattern, because what we see this weekend is really what we're going to see as we go into next week. So Monday, October 21st through Friday, October 25th. Yeah, we're getting closer to Halloween here, and we're still seeing well above normal temperatures, at least for this time of year, into late October now by this point. And you can see drier weather will extend from New England, Northeast, all the way down through the Mid-Atlantic and into Dixie Alley down here into parts of the Southeast and extending back toward Texas Hill Country. And then we have more above normal precipitation prospects for the upper Midwest, the central and northern plains, the northern Rockies, and then back towards portions of the northern Sacramento Valley of California. Let's turn over to the tropical weather aspect of the forecast, because there are a couple things we're keeping an eye on here. A low to medium probability of development by the National Hurricane Center in Miami, Florida, watching 2 investigative areas here. One near the Yucatan and down towards Central America. Another one has a slightly greater chance of developing. That wave is still back in the main development region and moving further west toward the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, and Haiti, for example. And you can see that wave that's further back. Doesn't look like much now. The wave over here is a little bit more moisture towards Central America. Doesn't look like much either. And the water temperatures, the ocean temperatures here are pretty warm in the Caribbean. So any system that sneaks in there and can develop can form into a formidable tropical system. So this weekend, let's look at the ensemble guidance here, because it does tell the story. The European ensemble guidance pressure here, maybe some of the members down to 997 millibars. That would be a tropical depression, maybe a quick weak tropical storm for portions there near the Yucatan and Central America. The wave over here into the main development region will scoot west towards either, the Puerto Rico, the Dominican Republic, the Northern Windward Islands, Haiti, areas like that this weekend. Really doesn't get too excited for that on the Euro run, really doesn't get too excited about it on the GFS, or the Canadian model guidance really doesn't get too excited. So anything that comes out of both of these systems will likely be very weak, if they even form at all. So that's certainly some good news. We'll keep an eye on it for you. and as we go over the next several days and certainly in through the weekend. But the experts over there at the Climate Prediction Center are watching that area near the Bahamas and into the Caribbean over the next week or two, going through Halloween time frame for potentially some tropical development. And then once we get into early November through the 5th of November, we're going to be watching the Eastern Pacific, but more of the Western Caribbean that could be leading up to more tropical development into early November. So we are still far from the end of hurricane season. We'll keep tracking it for you right here on this channel. Make sure to subscribe to the channel down below if you do enjoy my forecast. Also press the like button. And of course, leave any comments, questions, and concerns below. We'll get to those after my video here, and I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of their Wednesday out there.